The City of Revere Zoning Board of Appeals public hearing for August 28, 2013 will now come to order. Roll call.
Mr. Bacilli? Yes. Mr. Corrin is absent. Mr. D'Angelo? Yes. Mr. Mazzoni? Yes. Mr. Colometto? Yes. Mr. Tucker?
Yes.
Quorum is present. First application before the board is application 81309. This was continued from the meeting of 7/31/2013. This is the application of Joseph Denano, manager of Caddy Farm LLC, 118 Main Street, Malden, appealing the decision of the building inspector, wherein the building inspector issued a building permit for the construction of a church at 6365 Muzzy Street, Revere, to the Vietnamese Gospel Outreach Ministry of New England.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. My name is Attorney Lawrence Simeone, and I represent Caddy Farms LLC, who is the applicant who seeks to have the building permit issued by the building inspector held to be invalid. I submitted to you on August 27, 2013, an extensive memorandum in response to the city solicitor's memorandum of August 12, 2013. The critical points of my memorandum distinguish the memorandum filed by the city solicitor. Specifically, the only information that my client had within the original 30 days from May 22, 2012 was that the building inspector had indicated that he issued a foundation permit. And a foundation permit under Massachusetts law is not a building permit. Massachusetts code preempts this area. Preemption means that they control the area as far as the law is concerned. 780 CMR 114.8 clearly establishes that the commissioner may issue a special permit for foundation or any part of the building. The holder of such a permit may proceed at his own risk without assurance that a permit for the entire structure will be granted. Massachusetts courts have also recognized the distinction between a building permit and a foundation permit. Caddy Farm, as I've told you briefly, basically says the only knowledge it had was a foundation permit, and the fact that the building inspector reported that he only issued a foundation permit in the early part of June of 2012, he issuing said permit at some point, although the building inspector's file has no card or any other type of permit in it, it would be consistent with what is in the file, and that is if the building inspector were to have issued a building permit as opposed to a foundation permit, he would have violated several of the provisions of site plan review. So when Mr. DeCristoforo told me that it was a foundation permit, and you pair that up with an investigation of the site plan review conditions, and I've listed those conditions, like street and sidewalk bond had to be placed on file with the solicitor before the issuance of a building permit. No bond has been filed. A certificate of compliance for conservation work had to be filed with the building inspector prior to the issuance of building permit. No such issuance of a certificate has been submitted. A bond securing performance for the improvement of the roadway had to be placed on file with the city solicitor before the issuance of a building permit. No bond exists. A general permit must be filed with the EPA along with stormwater pollution prevention plan and submitted to the building inspector prior to the issuance of the building permit. No general permit from the EPA exists. An as-built foundation plan shall be filed with the building inspector prior to the issuance of a building permit. There is no as-built foundation permit in there as of June of 2013, a year after this alleged permit, so it would be hard to believe that a full building permit were to have been issued on May 22, 2012 by the building inspector. If the building inspector had issued such a permit, he would have also violated 1260-120A, wherein a private road being improved by alterations approved by the planning board, they must be completed prior to any issuance of a building permit. In the alternative, if somehow it was believed that the building inspector issued a permit back in May 22nd, 2012, a review of the file indicates that no extension was granted beyond the 6 months allowed under the law. So the building permit, if it was a building permit, which again I contend it is not, based upon my personal discussion with the building inspector, it would have been invalid 6 months thereafter. Not only would it have been invalid, any permit granted within June of 2012 also would have been invalid, because the site plan review conditions, in accordance with paragraph 19, state that their conditions are only good for 6 months, and a new site plan would have been required. No new site plan has been done. We made an inquiry on June 24th to the building commissioner. We did so in accordance with Section 7. It's Section 15 the city solicitor talks about. He basically says that under Section 15, if someone has knowledge, constructive or otherwise, actual knowledge, that you have to file an appeal with this honorable body within 30 days. Well, the Caddy Farm contends it had no such knowledge, actual or otherwise, that a building permit, a decision issued by the building inspector, was in fact done. The only knowledge we had is what we've just said, a foundation permit, which is not recognized under the law as a building permit. So I've listed the grounds of our appeal and established for you clearly that the timeliness issue goes to an order of decision of the building inspector. And an order of decision, as the case law provides, is a building permit. The issuance of a building permit is an order or decision which under Section 8 and 15 must be appealed by the ZBA within 30 days. If the individual doesn't have actual notice, now mind you, a foundation permit is not a building permit. If the individual does not have actual notice of any other permit, which Caddy Farm does contend at this point, then after the 30-day appeal period that is established under Section 15 expires, the individual may appeal a building permit if one exists, and to this day I couldn't tell you if one exists, okay? But only if he provides for that appeal by Section 7. Section 7 allows for a 6-year statute of limitations on zoning violations. So in accordance with Section 7, we sent the building inspector a letter on June 24th. He didn't respond. We subsequently were told by the building inspector that I should be referred to the city solicitor. I did as he instructed. I sent a letter to the city solicitor, who again did not respond to my inquiry under Section 7, with no response from the city officials as to whether a building permit had issued. On July 15th, Caddy Farm filed this appeal timely. We would ask you to support the applicant's position that in light of the facts and circumstances, it had no actual knowledge, that the issuance of a building permit, if such building permit was issued, would violate the law on a variety of different grounds, that you do in fact have jurisdiction to take this issue up this evening, and I would ask you to support the applicant in his petition. I'll answer any questions the board would like, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents? Hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Any opponents?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Richard Vigliotti, representing the Vietnamese Church. My understanding at the last meeting, the board requested an opinion from the city solicitor. I haven't seen an opinion rendered by his office to date. Look short. I'll take a quick look. Mr. Chairman, based upon the city solicitor's opinion, I would respectfully ask the board to deny the appeal. Additionally, with respect to the argument my brother made regarding the building permit, a copy of the building permit I have does not state anywhere on it that it's limited to a foundation permit. In fact, it checks off on the third page that it's a new building. Again, does not mention that it is limited to a foundation permit. The estimated cost listed on the permit is $203,000, which would be an extremely expensive foundation, and that the building permit cost was waived because the applicant was in fact a religious organization.
Mr. Viglioli, are you just referring to the application for the building permit that you're reviewing, or do you have an actual copy of a building permit that would be posted in the property? Because we do have the application from, but that states all of the proposed figures, the estimated cost, but that's only the application. So there's actually a question that there's no permit itself that was provided.
Mr. Chairman, that application is signed off by the building inspector and all of the other necessary departments on that application. You wouldn't be looking for fire prevention, you wouldn't be looking for the Board of Health to sign off on a foundation permit. Those departments have signed off, including engineering and public works. I have not seen anywhere in the record, Mr. Chairman, a permit that is limited to a foundation permit. Notwithstanding that, Mr. Chairman, City Solicitor's opinion confirms the argument that I made at the last meeting that this appeal is time-barred.
But based on other information provided, and also until project review is completed or site plan review approval is obtained and there is no compliance with zoning, this permit wasn't in effect. So, and it states that right on the bottom of the application. Site plan reviews items, I don't believe were ever taken into consideration at this point.
I would submit to the chairman that site plan review does not have jurisdiction over the issuance, the application for a building permit or the issuance of a building permit. They're an advisory committee.
Was there an actual card, building card produced? And were there inspections for the foundation that was built?
There is no building has been constructed at
Well,
this time.
someone would have had to have gotten a card that says you can start building. Is that around somewhere?
The actual
And there should
construction
have
is
been an
delayed
open
because
hole inspection and a foundation inspection.
the actual construction of the building has been delayed because of the litigation in this matter.
What he's asking, sir, an actual permit from city officials?
I have not seen one, no.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other opponents? Anyone else opposed? Hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Any members? Okay, let's continue on to calendar item number 2.
This is application 81310, the application of New Singular Wireless PCS LLC, 550 Cotuit Road, Framingham, requesting a variance to exceed the height of 50 feet and setback requirements to enable the appellant to install 12 antenna, 4-panel antenna per sector, mounted in 3 sectors, behind and concealed by 2 proposed screen walls designed to match existing screen walls on the roof, as well as associated antenna equipment, including related electronic equipment described in the application, as well as replacing an existing emergency backup power generator on the roof of the building on Lot 2A at 300 Ocean Avenue, Revere, Mass.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Edward Parry, P-A-R-E Jr. I'm an attorney at Brown Rudnick, representing New Singular Wireless PCS LLC, which operates as AT&T. Our address is 1 Financial Center in Boston, Massachusetts.
Do you have anything to add to your application, or the application speaks for itself pretty much?
I think the application speaks for itself. We do have our radio frequency engineer here. We do have a gap in coverage based on the materials that we submitted. The nice part of this installation, while a rooftop, we're able to incorporate screen walls, so virtually you won't see any of the antennas or the equipment, and you can take a look at tab 8, which has the photographs of existing conditions and proposed. With that, we'd be happy to answer any questions, or I'd be happy to go into further detail, Mr. Chairman, if that's what the board would like.
Thank you. We'll continue on. Are there any other proponents? Hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Any opponents? Hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Any members? I just have one question. The existing conditions and the proposed conditions, it's kind of hard for us to determine. You're not going any higher than the existing fencing that's up there or enclosures that are already on the roof?
We're not. We will not be the highest thing on the roof. Our shelter will be 11.5 feet off the roof. The screen walls will be 10 feet. I believe one of the screen walls, which we're actually going in front of, is about 6.5 feet, so it'll be elevated a bit, but that's just to screen the antennas so you won't see them off the top.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman, Mr. Mazzoni has indicated to me a concern that where he participated as a member of the planning board in the on this matter at a previous date, he was concerned about a conflict and therefore has indicated the desire not to participate in this vote. Therefore, Mr. Colometto will be voting on this matter.
Okay, roll call, please.
The question before the board is voting to grant the relief requested by the appellant to reverse the decision of the inspector and to revoke the permit.
Roll call.
Mr. Pacilli? Yes. Mr. Corrin is absent. Mr. D'Angelo? Yes. Mr. Mazzoni is absent. Mr. Colometto? Yes. Mr. Tucker?
Yes.
Yes. The appellant's request for relief is granted.
Next calendar item number.
This is the application of New Singular Wireless to exceed the height and setback requirements of the district to place various antenna and other related electronic equipment. Question comes on granting the relief requested by the appellant.
Roll call.
Mr. Pacilli? Yes. Mr. Corrin is absent. Mr. D'Angelo? Yes. Mr. Mazzoni? Yes. Mr. Tucker?
Yes.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mr. Colometto? Yes. This is granted. No further business.
No further business. The next meeting will be at the call of the chair. Thank you.